Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I'm an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer. And in this video, we're going to talk about the next new moon in Taurus on April 27. A moon that's basically a clash between water and fire. On one side, we have Venus in Pisces that will try to bring peace and compromise. On the other, Mars in Leo in opposition to Pluto, igniting the spirits towards the revolt. Now with this new moon, we officially step into the heart of the spring season, marked by the ingress of the sun in Taurus. Taurus being a fixed earth sign that is definitely going to try to stabilize a rather complex international situation. Before we begin, a quick update on Comet C 2025 F2 SWAN. We had indicated some caution when it comes to analyzing comets, given their unstable nature. Indeed, the comet disintegrated between April 16 and 17, basically failing to complete all of the extraordinary alignments that we talked about in the dedicated video. I'll leave you the link in the description box down here. But at least only the last alignment that you can see here, the one with the sun scheduled for Easter Sunday, missed the appointment, while all the other alignments were achieved. For this reason, we can assume that all the negative astral collected by the comet was disintegrated, basically dissolved, and then reintegrated by the spiritual forces of the sun, rather than being expelled completely from the solar system, as we mentioned. On top of that, the recent Pope's death has been very, very indicative since it happened right on Easter Monday. In fact, the appearance of comets is traditionally associated with the death of kings, sovereigns, or illustrious people. And when the Pope died, the comet was precisely located in Aries, that is, the zodiac sign of Christ, where Aries, in this case, represents the Lamb of God. So moving on, let's take a look at the chart of the new moon in Taurus, starting as always with the latest changes in the sky. On April 16, Mercury entered Aries. You can see it here in Aries in the chart. Then on April 18, finally, Mars left Cancer and entered Leo, after spending a good 3 months in the zodiac sign of its fall. On April 20th, the sun has entered Taurus, and you can see it in the sign together with the moon. Now, this moon brings specifically, is accompanying us basically towards May Day, which in the pagan wheel of the year corresponds to the festival of Beltane, which is a festival of life and fire, as in Taurus, life itself is resurrected completely from death, and it is celebrated here through the symbolism of fire. Now, in general, of course, this is a new moon, meaning that it represents the beginning of the manifestation process of the etheric forces of the earth, which gradually increase with the waxing moon up to the next full moon. And in this sense, the new moon, as you know, I always use this image, that of the cosmic seed, because it is a good time to sow, to start new things in general. And this manifestation process will culminate with the next full moon in Scorpio on May 12, which will take place with the sun in conjunction with Uranus, and is going to be, for this reason, a very intense and complex full moon that will bring to full expression all the tension, all the dynamics that we'll be discussing here in this video. So back to the chart, sun and moon are located at 7 degrees and 46 minutes Taurus here in the starry image of the Ram, which is the small constellation that you can see here. Now, as you can see, the luminaries are involved in two major configurations. So we have on one side the T-square they form with Mars in opposition to Pluto. Now, this is very, very intense. This is the T-square, the first configuration. Now, the second is a so-called Thales triangle, which is this sextile here and this trine here, connecting the Mars-Pluto opposition to Saturn, the North Node, Venus, and also Neptune, which is in Aries. Now, on top of that, we also have a very faint, very wide square with Jupiter in Gemini, and this is important because Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, so Jupiter is in charge for all these planets in Pisces, so this faint square is important as well. Let's now take a look at the meanings of the chart, as always starting from the physical meanings. Now, in this sense, a new moon in Taurus introduces us to an important issue regarding natural resources, as well as an activation of the economic financial axis represented by Taurus and Scorpio. Now, these two signs together, they represent the financial and economic world. Now, the T-square with Mars and Pluto represents, in this sense, a great tension of the international markets, to which the weak square that we mentioned between Venus and Jupiter here alludes to the same process. Why is that? Because Venus is important because she is the ruler of Taurus, but on the other hand, Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, so this Jupiter is basically ruling Venus, and Jupiter is in Jupiter is in Gemini, the zodiac sign representing the markets themselves. Now, in this sense, the tension between Mars in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius represents a tension between all the changes brought about by Mars, which is the planet of action, in Leo, which is the zodiac sign of rulers, kings, so to speak, the powerful, the ruling class. So we have this tension between people in charge, opposite to Pluto in Aquarius that we know. We've been discussing about Pluto in Aquarius a lot, and it is basically a generational planet representing people in general, people that in Aquarius are ready for a revolution. So we have peoples on the one side and the governments on the other. So this means that we are faced here with an impending issue related to the supply chain of resources. Why the supply chain of resources? Because this is an issue dear to Taurus here, right? So this could lead us to serious economical problems because, again, this axis, the Taurus-Scorpio axis, represents not only resources and, you know, all the issues because of tariffs and so on, but also the economy in general. Now, on the other hand, we have Venus in exaltation in Pisces, which is super good because Venus is very strong in Pisces, who, through this Thales triangle that we mentioned, this sextile with Pluto and this trine with Mars, Venus, she's going to try to, you know, lead the market, lead governments in general to a renegotiation of some kind, to a change of rules. Why changing the rules? Because Venus is there together with Saturn, that is the planet of law, the planet of rules. And Venus, she will try to harmonize this chaos of the markets, chaos being represented by Neptune, which is right there, right? So will Venus succeed? What can we say about it? Well, since the next full moon falls in Scorpio, with an exiled Venus in Aries and a Sun in conjunction with Uranus, I would say that most likely we will witness more than a few deals to blow up, to be honest. Now, from a psychological perspective, we are also faced here with two opposing tendencies. The opposition of Mars and Pluto can easily trigger our anger in this regard, as well as loss of control, which could lead, in the worst case scenario, of course, even to violence. And this is not uncommon with this opposition. And for this reason, we are urged by the heaven to self-control and discipline our emotions, all things well represented by Saturn in Pisces. Why is that? Because Pisces are a very emotional water sign representing emotions, and Saturn is, of course, the planet of control. Now, in this regard, Venus, which again is the lady of the new moon, is in exaltation in Pisces and strives to bring peace, easing the opposition with a trine to Mars and a sextile to Pluto, right? In short, we have in the chart from a soul perspective sufficient help to calm tempers, trying to take control of the situation and make things work. It should be stressed, however, that in this Venusian effort to reach compromise, if this compromise is not achieved, the conjunction of Venus with Saturn could lead us to close the relation rather than being dragged into an eternal fight. So Venus is definitely not going to do it. Now, from a spiritual perspective, the new moon is located in the starry image of Aries, right here. And in astrosophy, this constellation is very important because it represents the head of the so-called mystical lamb, that is the cosmic Christ figure as the Lamb of God, understood from a stellar cosmic perspective. Now, today, this image of the cosmic Christ shines on the earth it pierces through the solar forces of tropical Taurus. And since Taurus is the zodiac sign of nature itself, we stand here before the image of the risen Christ walking through the kingdoms of nature. Now, nowadays, this overlap between the constellation of the Ram and the sign of Taurus is most important since it represents the mystery of the so-called return of the Christ in the etheric world. As Rudolf Steiner pointed out, the Christ, the solar logos, has conjoined his being with the earth through the event of Golgotha. And for this reason, by eating the bread and drinking the wine of the Eucharist, one eats his blood and drinks eats his body and drinks his blood. But why is that? Because literally Christ is risen as the new spirit of the earth. So from being the spirit of the sun, Christ has become the new spirit of the earth, and it is possible nowadays to meet him through the vision of the etheric world in the realms of nature. It is also very interesting to know that according to Hildegard of Bingen, in the 40 days between Easter and Ascension, the risen Christ purifies each of the 4 elements, dedicating 10 days to fire, 10 days to air, 10 to water, and 10 to the earth. And the final 10 days that leads us basically to Whitsun are dedicated to us human beings. Now, the Christ in the etheric is the solar God who united with the earth, resurrecting the earth, purifying and renewing every year the cross of the 4 elements. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to support my work, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.